very much, and I think we would be remiss if we did not thank Christine and her team for hosting this conference. Alright, so Rosalyn Hunter is our keynote speaker at lunch today. She has taught dual credit courses and then a variety of biology courses, but I wanted to make it a little bit more personal this time. Last year, Rosalyn presented at our Instructional Innovation Conference on storytelling in the classroom. And I took those ideas that she did, and I kind of integrated them with my own faculty. And so, Rosalyn, thank you for presenting last year, and we look forward to your presentation this year.
All right, everybody, pull out a sheet of paper. We're going to start with quiz. I'm not joking. Put your name at the top. All right, so we're going to ask you some questions. You're going to write down the answers, and then we will see afterwards who does the best. And if you do bad, I'll just call up your dean where you work. Tell them all about it, okay? So, first question. What percentage of public two-year college students earn a degree or certificate in 6 years or less? What percentage of public two-year college students earn a degree or certificate in 6 years or less? Go ahead and write it down. It was on the syllabus. Did you not read it?
Where do I find the syllabus?
Okay, next. Match the percentage of 2006 8th grade students to the degree that they received. Forget the typo there. Okay, so they could either receive your certificate, a bachelor's degree, an associate's degree, or no degree. And the numbers are down there. So just match those. I'll give you a minute.
I need an accommodation. I can't see the screen.
I'm sorry, if you needed accommodation, you should have filled out the form with the appropriate time. Does anybody need me to read those options? Okay, so you're saying 1 is certificate, 2 is bachelor's degree, 3 is associate's degree, 4 is no degree. 1 is 5%, 2 is 78%, 3 is 16%, 4 is 1%. So it's 5%, 78%, 16%, and 1%. So that was what percentage of the 2006 8th grade class received degrees? All right, ready for the next one? Okay. The average student debt for a Texas two-year college student is $16,244, $910, $222,214, $15,616. You're not cheating on that phone, are you? Okay, just checking. No. So the average student debt for Texas two-year college students is 16,244, 910, 222, 214, 15,616. So pick one. All right, next. The motto of the North Texas Community College Consortium is you came to the place. Didn't you sign up for this? I'm sorry, it was in the reading. Okay, we're done. So you're going to finish those up with your name, and you're going to not pass them anywhere because I don't really care. The only reason that we did this is because we are trying to get you in the mode of what it's like for your students in your class, sitting there with the test in front of them. So that's what our talk here today is about. It is about stories overheard, what students say about their teachers. So basically, I'm an instructor of biology, but I also teach labs. And labs, you're not the principal instructor for the class, you're just the secondary instructor. So they will sit in front of you and badmouth their instructors all day long, and you hear all kinds of stories about what kind of problems the students have. And most of the time, you know, don't do anything with it. But I have this wonderful opportunity to finally tell some of you what it is that students talk about when they're talking about their classes. So, but before we go on too far about that, let's go ahead and see the answers, see how you did on this test. All right, we did that. Okay, what percentage of public two-year college students earn a degree or certificate in 6 years or less? 27%. Okay, next. The percentage of 2006 8th grade students to the degree they received. Certificates, 1%. Bachelor's degrees, 16%. Associates, 5%. No degree, 78%. The average student debt for college, two-year college students, $16,244. And the motto of the North Texas Community Consortium, College Consortium, was communicating, cooperating, collaborating, and it's on the darn paper.
And the
That's right. So, yeah, you have to get that one. I'm sorry, that was a gimme. All right. Well, the reason that we're starting with this is we're just trying to talk about what it is that your students are feeling. They're sitting around in your class, and it's when you're a teacher, especially if you've been a teacher for a long time, you get into this teacher mode and you see everything as a teacher. Oh, this is a learning moment. You should have done that work. But when you're on the other side as a student, you know, this, oh, it's a learning experience, doesn't feel quite so comfortable. The test, you know, was this test fair? Were you ready for it? Did you know you were going to get it? How did you feel about, oh no, I might fail? I mean, it doesn't mean anything here. I don't have anything over you. But for these students, you do have something over them. They have to pass these courses. They take these courses. It's very important to them. And so when they're surprised, when they're upset by things, you know, it has a toll. The reason I actually thought about this talk, first came up with it, had to do with something that happened this last fall, is that I was administering a final exam. It was a very small class, just a couple students. It was like one of the very last exams we had, and the students were at the door waiting, and they were almost crying. They were at the point of crying because they were so stressed about what they had to do. And so I took them into another classroom to cool down and go over their paperwork and stuff like that. And while we were doing this, another student walked in who also had to finish up their paperwork for the course before the end of the semester, and they were starting to talk about, situations, things they overheard just while they were filling out papers. And, they talk about the teacher that teaches online course that a number of people have taken, but very few people have ever passed, and they're sitting around saying, what is this? How can they have a class if nobody passes? Is this just a scam to get money? They talked about the high school student that someone had heard about who had had a heart attack in school from all the stress. And it's like, I don't want to die of a heart attack because of school. And, we look at that and we're thinking, oh my gosh, she's overreacting. This isn't realistic. But when you look at it from the student's point of view, a lot of times things are much more stressful than we think of. Most of the students, many of the students have responsibilities in their families. They're making decisions every day about whether or not to sign up for another semester. If you get a financial aid and you don't pass the course, a lot of times you have to pay some of that financial aid back. And if you are right on the edge of being able to afford food and rent for your family, then these kind of things can just throw you completely out of college. When you have families where they're deciding, who's going to get the money to spend for a class, issues like grades can determine whether or not they say, well, you're not doing so well in school, so maybe you should work for a semester, or maybe we should spend the money on your brother, or some other situation like that. I knew of someone who had difficulty in an online course that they got a D in, and because of that, they were not able to be in the Honor Society. And this was a transfer student. If they're in the Honor Society, they would have gotten a $2,000 scholarship discount when they transferred. And by dropping out of that Honor Society, because that class, they lost the ability for that, and that has an effect on whether or not they transfer at all. So what we're just trying to get at right now is just taking a moment to remember what it's like to sit in a small chair. So let me tell you about a survey I did. So basically, the question is, why are students failing? What can we do? What's going on? And I asked my students that. Now, I did it at the very end of the semester, so they were mostly all gone. But I was able to get a few of them to answer me to the survey essay. I made a little survey, monkey survey. Unfortunately, since only 13 of them got back to me at that time, it's nowhere near representative. It's just anecdotal. But I thought you might be interested in hearing about some of the data I got when I asked the students about where they're going. So first of all, I asked, do you prefer your courses to be easy or challenging? Interesting enough, most of the people said they preferred their courses to be challenging. Now, this may have been biased by the fact that I was asking anatomy students, and if they didn't want a challenging course, why are they in anatomy? But a lot of the scores, they expect to be challenged when they go to class. Next. I asked, what do you like best in a teacher? So we had that they preferred, most of it, 46% with interesting lectures, 23% with enthusiasm for the subject. Then we had a tie down here of predictability and knowledge of the subject. Some of the other things that were written in were organization and preparation and understanding. Then I asked, what's most useful when learning a new subject? started with lectures and labs tied at about 31%, followed by in-class activities, and then we had course notes, and they had a write-in for videos. I noticed nobody mentioned a textbook. And they didn't say anything about homework either. So then we said, what do you find least useful in learning a new subject? And they said lectures, which is interesting because that was one that was most useful. So there's something going on there. This is followed by
Group work?
yeah, the group work. Yeah, group work. Nobody likes this group work. And then we have course notes and the textbook. And the fact that homework assignments is small and both of them and in-class activities, I'm thinking that maybe only a few people give out homework for some of the classes we're in. All right, let's go down to the next question, which was, which things do you use to manage your time in the course? Now, I think let me tell you the key first. So green means most used, blue means sometimes used, and yellow means never used. So to go back up there, I think very few of you would be surprised to find that nobody uses the syllabus. So mostly they listen to what their teacher mentions, or the biggest thing they use are assignment due dates. So when you put up a due date for an assignment, they're looking at those assignment due dates. Some students never listen to other students when they tell them when something's due. But they usually will listen to the teacher when they say something's due. Some people rely on their online calendars, because we had one write-in here, and the write-in said, comment here said, I use 2 personal planners.
Yeah.
Then I asked what teacher habit annoys you most, which is a bit of a loaded question because I had to think up of annoying teacher habits. So the one that led there was tests that do not cover the subject. Let's see, tests that do not cover what was covered in class. And then that's followed by hard to understand lectures. Then grades rarely reported. Lowest ones here, not returning emails, unclear online class structures. Nobody was really upset about the lack of office hours, so if you don't go, then you're probably not kicking off too many people. Anyway, unclear deadlines, that one didn't get much. There was an other though. Someone did ask, I really wished I could vote it on more than one. So, go back here. So we're going to start by doing a couple little exercises. And what you're trying to do is put yourself in the mind of the student when the student says this thing. And I want you to be thinking, what does the student mean when they say, the tests were impossible? What do they mean? Who knows? Anybody got an idea? Okay. Yeah, let's see it.
They weren't prepared.
They weren't prepared, so they weren't prepared for it. Okay. What else could they mean by that?
They didn't know exactly what's going to be on it.
They didn't know exactly what's going to be on it. What else? Tests are impossible. You're a student. Someone tells you that.
Tests require critical thinking.
Yeah, it required critical thinking. They weren't ready for it. Okay, now we're going to take the second question. You're the instructor. This person is about to have this test. What could you have done so that they do know it's about critical thinking, that they are prepared for this test? What could you have done to make it so that they didn't say that?
Create preparation.
Yes.
Practice test.
Practice test. So
Review sheets.
review sheet.
Assignments that ask them to practice critical thinking.
Assignments that ask them to critical thinking. What else?
And just create the opportunities for them to do that on a regular basis before asking them to do it on a test.
Good. Anyone else?
I didn't get you fast enough. Yeah, use it.
I'll get it. I'm right here.
So emailing them to make sure they're keeping up with their homeworks.
Make sure they're keeping up. Come on, there gotta be more people. All right, so what you just did here is, instead of looking at this like a teacher, the tests were impossible, and saying, dang, those students, they never study. You're looking at it as a student. The tests are impossible means I wasn't prepared for that test. And why wasn't I prepared for the test? Were you prepared for the test I gave you? Did you pass it? Okay, what could I have done? I could have told you where I was getting questions from. You know, I could have told you that there was going to be a test at all. And then you wouldn't have thought that it was difficult so much. Well, maybe you wouldn't, but still. And so what we're going to do is we're going to do a little bit of exercise where we're going to listen to some quotes that some students have said, and we're going to think of, well, what is the student really meaning by this question? And then think of it as a teacher and say, what is it that practice that I could do that would solve that problem? So we're going to break you up into 3 groups. Let's see. I'll do it by clumps. Okay, this clump here, you're all group 1, all right? The strays in the back, you're group 2, all right? And then you all up here are group 3. And that probably means that you'll have to yell to each other or something. But we'll give you a microphone when you come up with something cool. But I'm going to give you some questions to solve. So, yeah, I'm going to make y'all get closer together. Yeah, so.
All right, join your club. Clump up.
So we have group 1, this little group at the front on the left, group 2, all the strays in the back, group 3, the big ones.